So on this chilly February morning, we're taking a quick look at The Godfather Part 3 and why it succeeded and failed in almost equal amounts. Now, The Godfather Part 3 is the side sequel to the original Godfathers, Godfather I that came out in 1972, and The Godfather Part 2, or Book 2, which came out in 1974. They both won Best Picture at the Oscars. Very, not say perfect movies, but perfect for their time and for their plot devices. Now it completes, number 3 completes the story of Michael Corleone, the mafia kingpin, the head of the family of the Godfather series, who is attempting to legitimize his criminal empire. He wants to get out. In the movie, Michael, who was always a person of faith, had always promised his family would make them legitimate within so many years of the Don, his father, played by Marlon Brando, dying. Now it also includes, as a side plot to the main plot, fictionalized accounts of 2 real-life events: the suspicious 1978 death of Pope John Paul I and the papal banking scandal of 81-82. And the way it works in the plot, they're both linked to Michael Corleone's business and personal affairs. Now the film, of course, stars most of the major players, including Al Pacino as Michael, Diane Keaton, Talia Shire, and a new character in the series, Victor Corleone, played by Andy Garcia, the illegitimate son of Sonny, played by James Caan. And also great character actors including Eli Wallach, Joe Mantegna, Brigitte Fonda, and the 2 unnecessary casting choices, George Hamilton as the Don's lawyer, and Sofia Coppola. Francis Ford Coppola, the director, appears his daughter, playing the femme fatale of the movie, and a very poor performance that brings down the movie quite a bit. We'll talk about that a little bit more. Now, the original title of the movie is supposed to be The Death of Michael Corleone, but Paramount decided, hey, maybe that's giving away the movie too much. So we'll look at making Godfather Part 3 as sort of like an epilogue style. And it received, very good reviews. Nominated for 7 Oscars, and it made over $136 million at the box office. So it wasn't chump change for 1990. If anything, it was international success because of its opera scenes and different aspects. It seemed more European or international than American. Now, the plot of the movie: Michael Corleone, who we find out now is type 2 diabetic, is approaching 60. And his racket guilt over his rise to power, which included, murdering his brother Fredo in a retribution thing because of the aspects of Part 2. Now, as the movie goes along, there's a battle for power. There's an up-and-coming gangster called Joey Zaza, who the traditional members of the Corleone family are threatened by. The Garcia character, Victor, is finally welcomed in the family at a social gathering where Michael Corleone is making a major donation to the Catholic Church. So Michael, the whole thing about it seeking redemption, but when it gets really weird, when Vincent basically tells Sonny, bring me in, I want to be part of the family, Michael starts to deteriorate and at one point takes a massive diabetic seizure, and Victor has to take over the reins of what's been going on, including taking over the Vatican Bank, working on securing the future, trying to stop Joey Zaza's rise. And like most Godfather movies, there's a double cross, there's all different machinations of betrayal. There's the Victor and chasing after Michael's daughter, cousins as well. So there's incestuous plot, or what do you call close family plot. And it's from the start to finish is over 3 hours. It's the typical Francis Ford Coppola Puzo style, very dramatic, very intense. But here's the main problem: the movie works like it's a 7 out of 10 movie. It could have been 8 or 10 out of movie, 9 out of 10. But we have found out years later, of course, Duvall wanted to be in the movie to play Tom Hagen, is the original lawyer for the Corleone family. And according to Francis Ford Coppola, his financial demands were too high. You wanted Pacino money, and I really think Duvall and Pacino are on the same level of acting skill. They deserve the same money. And Duvall said, well, they wanted to pay me chump change regarding Pacino. Now, if Duvall would have been the movie, that would replace George Hamilton. The plot would have been much, much better. There would be less reliance on the Sofia Coppola, Andy Garcia romance. And I really, really think that it was disrespectful to Duvall. It was disrespectful to the Godfather fans. It was disrespectful to the concept of it. Now, the movie's opera scenes are very well done. There's a denouement, as there is in every Godfather movie at the end of the movie, at a performance of Michael Corleone's son's aria, his opera. And it's quite, like I said, it's quite well done to see the evilness of it. And it's more Sicilian than American this time. Basically, it looks at family traditions. It looked at, owing a debt and paying off the debt to the Godfather. But the scenes were, the three big scenes for me is when Joey Zaza is called on the carpet with Michael, and the Victor character says, this person is say blank, Michael Corleone. He said, what we do with a piece of blank like that? And Michael wanted Victor and Zaza to make peace, and of course Victor, in all great Acadian and Sicilian tradition, bites his ear off, which is a very good scene because sometimes in Acadian Sicilian traditions, people piss you off, you want to bite your ear off. And the death scene at the end, where a certain key character of the Corleone family is killed by accident, is quite intense. And as well, I know people call it weird, but the death by cannoli scene involving two of the main characters in the movie is quite good, because you never expect cannolis to kill you instantly. Usually cannolis are bad for the heart and will kill you gradually if you eat too many. But like I said, there's let's say there's 20 moments in a movie that draw you in. 15 are good, 5 are bad. That's a good amount. And I think Godfather 3, I know it's weird to say, is an underrated movie, because people look at it and think, oh, Sofia Coppola was a crap actress and it was nepotism and all that. But it's not her fault. She's a bad actor. She's a better director. If you follow Sofia Coppola's directing career, she's a very, very competent director. She learns from her father. But see, Francis Ford Coppola is always a little bit over the top. You can't really argue with him, because his way or the highway. So if Duvall was in the movie, I really think Godfather 3 could have had a very good chance of winning at least a Golden Globe for Best Picture. It might have won the Oscar Best Picture. But I mean, that ship has sailed. I mean, they did a sequel to Gone with the Wind years ago, and they cast an actress that had no right playing Scarlett O'Hara, and it didn't work. Wizard of Oz sequel went nowhere. Sometimes something is not meant to be. I think they did the best they could with the third. Now here's the deal. There's also a talk about another, not sequel but a prequel, but a Sonny Corleone character. Edie Falco's brother wrote the book that's supposed to be based on. That's still in planning station. I think Ryan Gosling would play an early version of Sonny. Would be perfect casting. So let's wish for that. Now, if you have the chance to watch Godfather 3, there's an extended version. I think it's 3 hours and 30 minutes. There's more scenes with Kay, more background scenes. But there's a very interesting scene midway through where here's his son play the aria that was played at his first wedding to Apollonia. It's very interesting to see, how guilty Al Pacino's character is in his own mind, but doesn't state it. It's very subtle. And like I said, Pacino acts great in this movie, as usual. And even George Hamilton gives an okay performance, and for him, that's comparable to asking, a mule to be a horse at the Kentucky Derby. They're only so fast they can run. So on this beautiful cold morning in February, we say to all the Godfather fans out there, make sure the horse's head is not in your bed when you wake up, because you never know who you're going to piss off, and it could come and get you through the night. So keep your stick in the ice, everybody. Have a good morning. Bye.